Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special Father Day edition of Focus on Liberia On Point. My name is Dennis Jai, and I'm joining the On Point crew. I am privileged to be allowed in the presence of this elite group of panelists, Mr. Jimmy Eastman, who is a co-host here on Point. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dennis is happy Father's Day to all the brothers and proud fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to you, Dennis. I know you. I saw your pictures today with your youngins. It's a proud day for all of us that we can be able to be a father unto others, and I hope one day we all can be a father unto our nation.
Amen. Again, happy Father's Day, Jimmy, and thank you so much for being a wonderful father. Your kids are all grown now, and you have an empty nest.
It's nice to have one, but I still got a couple of them in the basement, so I got some broom.
That one is your problem now. We want to also welcome the guy who, when he's not on point, people think that it's not hot enough, Mr. George Canon Tulay. Mr. Tulay, thank you so much for allowing us to be part of On Point today on this special Father's Day edition.
Yeah, man. It's nice being here. I want to say Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. We normally take the time to be here with us. It's a privilege to have you guys, being with us today. We have an exciting line of topics to discuss. We just want to. It's a nice time sharing the Sunday afternoon. We're going to be here for an hour, and I know it will be nice.
Thank you so much. I also want to welcome the host of the Hour of Politics. I call him the political bulldog, but right now people are calling him the Chris Wallace of Liberian television, Mr. Anthony Sie. Mr. Sie, welcome to the special Father's Day edition of On Point.
A Father's Day edition of On Point is, great sharing the, program with Tulay and Jimmy. Happy Father's Day to you, gentlemen. Happy Father's Day to all our many followers across the world. We want to say happy Father's Day to you all. Yes, I'm happy to be here, and I will be on point in this discussion. And if Jimmy is not going to be on point, let him pack it back and go. If Tulay is not going to be on point, let him pack it back and go, because I'm here to be on point. Dennis, I don't know about you. Are you going to be on point today?
I'll try to be on point. The thing about me is a lot of people don't even know where I stand. But so anytime I have the opportunity to share where I stand on issue, I'm excited. And the host, or one of the hosts and or co-hosts of On Point, Mr. Jerome Gayman, we say happy Father's Day. He's here spending time with the girls and the family, and he's now with us on this edition. We say, Jerome, enjoy your day. Also, on this special time, we want to say our special condolences to our friend George Preston Lobo and his siblings. George lost his mother, and we want to say, have our sympathy, George, and our hearts and prayers go out to you. At this time now, I will welcome Mr. Anthony Sie, who's going to introduce the topics we're going to be discussing today. Anthony, it's all yours.
In today's edition of On Point, CDC celebrates 17 years anniversary as a political party. What have we learned? Has CDC succeeded, or is CDC still struggling? We will be looking at what CDC has been able to achieve, whether its proper mantra is something that she is living and walking, or whether the CDC is a living contradiction of what the CDC actually stood for all along. Also, we will be talking about the new date set by the National Legislature for the National Population Census. There's a new date, and we are going to be discussing about that. Also, illegal money in Liberia is at a whole new level. We got information that some government officials or agents of government are in this business with the illegal miners. We will be talking about that. And finally, the plight of Liberian girls in Oman is something that we pick up also, and we're going to be looking into that today. We have gotten a lot of calls from them. They are excited that we're able to highlight this topic. and many Liberians need to be listening to that. That is, these are the issues that we got, and I'm all set to be on point, Dennis.
Thank you so much, Mr. CA. And before we start the CDC 17 years, I want to play a little clip. When the CDC government just got to power, it was all hallelujah time. Let's take a listen. And
If you want to fire with that. We will never run away from CDC.
Amade Party. I am Amade Party. I am Amade Party. I am Amade Party. Goes away.
Mr. Tulay, that's CDC 17 years old. When they got to power, it looked like they were celebrating. But we have the CDC government now 17 years later. What do you see?
Well, I see a massive abandonment of the CDC by those who brought them to power. I think it is the result of a breach of contract. They said they were a pro-poll party. They were the party of the masses, and they were coming to execute what they termed a pro-poll agenda. But the very people that brought them to power have felt a sense of loss, or a sense of abandonment. They feel that they haven't been catered to. And that's just a microcosm of what is happening on the national stage. CDC signs a couple of capital projects that are executed by contractors, and they want to be boastful about those things when they have not put into place plans and policies that, when implemented, will improve the material well-being of the Liberian people. That is where the problem lies. You have massive inflation, which is not unique to Liberia. But when the people see you taking mitigating steps to be able to resolve these problems and develop your economy, invest in small and medium-scale enterprises, deal with the issue of corruption, ensure that you have an agriculture policy that is working towards full security as a nation. Because, like I highlighted previously, and I will say again today, by next year, food prices will be astronomical. And with the economic conditions in Liberia and the high rate of inflation, the dollar is going to have little value. I'm talking about the Liberian dollar. And as a result, even now it's being felt. People say they're not seeing the lower denominations on the market anymore. So with all this, what I'm saying is we are headed for dire straits. CDC is celebrating. They're still doing this stuff. George Weah was dancing Buga at their celebration. But the reality is that there have been a massive flight away from CDC, from the CDC ethos, from the CDC ideology, because everybody have seen now is a mirage. It's just for the aggrandizement of few individuals against the interests of the populace. And those children that populated the sycamore tree that were always there, they haven't seen anything for them. CDC is not carving out mass policies to institute measures to make sure those young people are getting skills that they can market to improve their lives. So all these things that people can sit and see. You can dance all you want to dance, but the reality will hit home when a man goes home and he got children to feed and he brought nothing from the sycamore tree. So why go there? I saw buses parked all over town waiting for people to get.
So Mr. Tulay, let me interject here. So 17 years, this is a political party that has gone 2 times, they went, they failed, and then the 3rd time became a charm. Will you not credit the CDC for remaining to be a viable party since 17 years and counting? I mean,
oh yeah, we can credit them for that, but let's understand what we credited them for realistically. It was the prospect of what George Weah represented more than any structure that sustained the party. All right, he represented to them hope. They said the man had good heart, so people wanted this man to be president. Let me tell you something: if the man didn't win in 2017, they would have been causing trouble today. especially with the economic downturns and stuff. They will be on the street. They will have, their activity is different. They're very violent. So what I'm saying is, what kept them was the populism,
Right.
was the popularity of George Weah more than anything else. And he was riding the wave to use it to aggrandize, to make deals. But now he became president, and the doubt has been removed. People have seen that he's unfit for the office, he's inept, he can't do the job. And not only him, what even exacerbates the ineptitude is the fact that he has surrounded himself with people who don't have the capacity to deliver. So
Thank you. Thank you. And Jimmy, before I bring you in, the CDC is 17 years old, and the president looks pretty impressed by what the CDC has accomplished so far. Take a listen. Watch the president at the celebration. I mean, he's pretty happy, and I want to see what you think of this. Is the president, right? Is this dance justified that the CDC has done well? So let me get your take as I prepare that video.
Okay. I like first to atomically to look at it, the anatomy of the CDC. CDC is a grassroots organization, and I believe some of the founding members were people like Councillor Gould and various different people from different walks of Liberia. And they started as a little unknown group, but they have over the years grown momentum until they finally culminated into a victory for the standard bearer of the party won the election. I think this is a monumental accomplishment when you think that just the other day they were non-existent, and now they have become a household name throughout Liberia. When I went back the first for inauguration, this party was extremely popular. Everywhere I went, I saw the enthusiasts. They were vehement. It was an atmosphere of like something was about to happen. And so I think that we can commend them on reaching the masses and getting people involved and hopeful. So I think they deserve a lot of commendations for achieving such a task. I'm not sure all the circumstances that led to it. There may have been attributing factors like the way they view the UP administration rule. People felt left out. People felt alien to them. And so that opened the door for such a grassroots organization. If that is not true, then they show messages correctly, because that is what they got everybody to believe. And today, when they enumerated their accomplishments, I was a little surprised, because some of their accomplishment they enumerated was the Vocational and Technical Studies Institute that was they cut the ribbon on yesterday. They should have, and that is a good accomplishment, because what we need in Liberia foremost is technical skills and expertise. That is so lacking in all facets of Liberia. We actually have foreigners taking all those positions right now because we don't have capable Liberians. So I really clap my hands for that. But then they also mentioned that they have 22 newly built shops and housing units. I think building shopping units and houses for the people is a good thing, but as a political body, I don't know. It looked a little different. I'm not sure why they took that direction. Maybe because the government is not doing enough to build houses, create opportunities. So you see where they're going. They're stepping in the role where Government is not doing certain things. They are doing it. I think it's important for all political parties to do that. You know, it's one thing wanting to get to the helm of power before you do make a contribution. But if, as a political party, if you can already begin schools, clinics, championing cleanup exercises, other community projects before coming to power,
Jimmy,
I think
I
that's
want you to be
highly.
on point here. Jimmy, I want you to be on point here. So let me play for you what the president at the CDC headquarters commemorating the 17 years. Take a listen. Is the president right to dance buka on the 17th anniversary because of the
Without a doubt, my friend, we need our presidents to celebrate and dance with us, sing with us. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I remember as a lad, I saw Kenneth Kaunda of Zambia. You know, the South Africans have beautiful voices and beautiful song. I saw him sing to the nation on national TV. Beautiful voice. And there's nothing at all wrong with our leader and our aspirants celebrating with us, singing with us. That is only one. So George Weah was in his element. The people felt joyous. The people felt happy. It was a day of celebration. But we know leadership is much more than that. So yes, that is the day they came to party. They came to celebrate. He came to entertain. That's what he does best. He became famous. He became endeared to us because of his ability to entertain us on the football field and other aspects of life. He's been doing commercials. So this is what he does. He's a celebrity and an entertainer. So, and he gave the people some happiness. There's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you.
Nothing at all.
Mr. Sear, let's look at the CDC 17 years later. We saw when they first got in power, this is what we saw. We are the mighty party.
Hey, buzz away, hey, buzz away, hey, morale.
Is the morale still high? Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, Dennis. For some people, the morale is still high. I will argue that to the majority, the morale is not high anymore. The morale is actually dead, but some people don't see it. And that is the part that saddens me. Why is the morale dead? Dead because everything that the CDC stood for, the CDC is a complete opposite of it all. Now, then is the CDC successful as a political party in political fights? Yes, the CDC is profoundly successful in political fights. I'm choosing my words carefully. Political fights mean when you are fighting in a political contest to win elective positions. The CDC is one of Liberia's most successful political parties. CDC is one of Liberia's most successful political parties. If you look at the history, 17 years later, the CDC has captured not only the legislature, the House of Representatives at some point, they have senators, and now they captured the presidency. It took them 3 attempts to do so. Now, if you look at the likes of the Unity Party, if you look at the UPP, you look at all the political parties that were established way before the CDC. Some of them have not even come close to what the CDC has been able to achieve when it comes to the political fights of Liberia. So without question, the CDC is successful. Why is the CDC successful? The CDC is successful because in the political fights, because the CDC brought a celebrant, someone who is being celebrated, a celebrated Liberian citizen called George Weah. No one questioned any Liberian's love, or no one questioned the fact that George Weah is loved. This man is loved. This man is blessed, I continue to say. And so because of Weah's iconic nature and popularity, bringing him to politics, and Liberians in their majority, especially ordinary Liberians, seeing themselves in Joshua as being one of their kind who, went through it all the odds when it comes to living, they felt that he could really, really do for them. And so the CDC mobilized Liberians across Liberia and outside of Liberia, and they came to the political grassroots movement called the CDC. It was a remarkable experiment. It has succeeded in terms of mobilization. It has succeeded in terms of bringing people from all walks of life. That is a success. That is the history. That is the fact. No one can dismiss that. So it is that same celebration attitude. It's this same celebrant they have brought to governance. And there where the failure is. How dare you come to power? You won an election. You were inaugurated. That was a celebration, in itself. And then on Saturday, you are on the football field, you are dancing. They have forgotten in no time the opportunity they were being given to transform the life of the people who voted for them. We saw tears. Even Weah himself cry on the day of election. But a few months later, what did Weah do? Instead of getting to work, to improving and taking actions that will improve the material condition of the very people who stood in the rain and sun, who printed t-shirts for him. He built mansions for himself. He continues to. And then this is what I will do here quickly so I can give others the opportunity. 17 years later, Dennis, where is the CDC? How can we look at the CDC? Let's look at what they call the PROPO. Is the CDC PROPO today in its actions, in its policies, decisions they made? No, the CDC is a living contradiction of what PROPO means. PROPO means if you are an official of government from that PROPO government, you should not be taking more and the poor people taking less. We know for a fact that the poor people are taking far too less and the CDC officials are taking far too more. That is a serious contradiction. So when it comes to governance, the CDC is a failure and a disappointing and humiliating failure for that matter. For example, we have the office of the president. Stationery alone is $508,000. That is a little over $500,000. Maggie doesn't write a thing. Weah doesn't write a thing. And they get that kind of money. Now, if they were proper enough, they will use the internet. They will PDF their documents and email them for people to read. Printing alone is over $200,000. That is more than what they give a single county in our country. Each county gets $200,000. Printing for Weah office above $200,000. Is he working for the people? No. When it comes to governing the CDC, it's a contradiction. Now let's look at the standard of living. They came to improve these people's lives so that the young boy will not spend all his money for transportation. So he will not spend all his money on a cup of rice. Honor Ellen will buy a cup of rice for $25. Honor Joshua is going to $50. In some places, $75, depending on the cup that you're using. Is that a success? That is a failure when it comes to governance. I don't want to bore you with the budget. And so you told me this, then you said, well, show me your budget, and then I will tell you where your priorities are. Where is the CDC spending, allotting more money? To government officials for the running of a government, money that basically go in your pocket. When it comes to education, we don't even have a massive computer literacy program in the country from a proper government.
But Mr. CM, let me put some breaks here. For you to be able to critique somebody or something, you should have a standard. You should have something that you are using as the baseline to measure this other guy, right?
Yes.
What are you using? Are you using the previous government? Are you using other political parties? What is it that would tell you that, yes, this is the way it should be done, and this is the way we have seen it done? So the CDC sometimes say, since 1847, we are the best. Are they right here?
Dennis, the CDC is there wrong. I'm using the CDC own standard that is said. One is proper. I just try to explain to you what proper actually means. The CDC is a working contradiction. All right? I just said to you, I quoted you, you said, show me your budget and I will show you what your priorities are. Look at the budgets. The CDC priority is not the people. The CDC priority are CDC officials. Let's come to the issue of the fight against corruption. The CDC campaigned that it was going to fight corruption. The CDC condemned the Unity Party government as being corrupt. All right? So this is the CDC that came to power and now is not being able to fight corruption. So this is the CDC own standard that I'm using. This is the CDC own yardstick that I'm using to examine what they preach. The CDC is not doing what it preached all the years. All right? So if you look at development projects, that is another thing that we have to look at critically.
All right, Mr. Sia, we'll come back to you. Let's take one second here and go back to Tulay so that we can conclude on the CDC 17 years later. I know, Tulay, before I start, do you have any credit for the CDC? Because I want to agree with Mr. Sia is when these guys came to power, it's like they were joking, right? Here is the president. All the people say, you don't have the will to defeat us. At the end of it, there is nothing to show for it. President is dancing buka. Is there any credit to give the CDC with all the condemnation?
No.
Why?
I wouldn't give them any credit. You should know one thing now. These guys, I was with these guys. Many people even thought that I was sedition. I interviewed them on my show on a regular. I was on Georgia radio station anyway, so I interviewed them on my show. We had them; they were the regular guys making the rounds on the show. Because you will find very little, the pool of people willing to criticize Manasari was very small. All right, because you know how you're looking at, you were excluded whenever you were found to have divergent views, like today, happening on a Madam Salif also. So they basically were the voices that we use to amplify our voices, to take our criticisms to the street. Because I was a businessman, I couldn't be on the street at the attires. That's not my style anyway. So, but they were the ones that were at the attire centers. They were the ones that were in the community. So they were the ones that we made sure they understood the nature of our criticism, and they understood the reason behind our criticism. We try to put down the data. We try to show them how Madam Salih was there. She was missing the opportunity to make Liberia a real better country. So these guys were the voices. They were vociferous. They were out there. They were challenging the authorities and stuff like that. I didn't agree with everything they did and said, but I saw them as compatriots. I saw them as the same in the same trenches with me in my advocacy. So forget about George. I'm talking about all these grassroots people from Maggie. They are all frauds because they all criticize Madam Salif harshly. And now the things that they criticize, they're even doing worse than those things. How many years are we talking about? Just 4.5 to 5 years, man. That's too far. They've abandoned everything. It's like they suffer from selective amnesia. All right? In no time, these guys have forgotten the depth of the criticism. the depth of their advocacy, the things they said, the things they spoke against, they have forgotten everything. One of the things that they talked about, they were very critical of Madam Salif, putting into government young people who didn't have experience, who were just graduates. They should just send these young graduates abroad to go to China and other places and get master's degree. And master's degree, many times we in school, man, we just do rote learning, man, just to be able to get the grades, man. You know that one. Yeah, but many times we don't even learn the substance. We don't imbibe it. It doesn't become part of our repertoire. We want to go through the motion just to pass. So just take these young guys and put them in critical roles. And the thing about it is that assistant minister, director positions are normally for technocrats, guys who know what the ministry, the department, or whatever is about, and who have experience. So as a result, our government suffered greatly. And these guys were very critical of Madam Salif in this area. Look and see the kind of people they are putting in these positions today. So it's like everything that these guys criticize Madam Salif of, I can sit here and talk about it every day. They criticize how the hospitals were run. Look at how the hospitals have been taken care of under them. At least Madam Salif had a semblance of setting rapport with the opposition. We sat with the same Salif people there in the evenings, and we drank with them. I don't drink alcohol. But what I'm saying is that we sat on the table, they drank the alcohol, I drank whatever water, whatever I wanted to drink. But these are the guys that we criticize, right? These are the guys I'm on from Fumba Salif and everybody. Fumba Salif was buying from listen to this. Fumba Salif, who's the son of the president, bought most of his furniture from my store. Dennis, I'm sitting on King's FM, Cloud TV, criticizing his mother, calling her all kinds of names. This guy, and not only him, the NSA, they wanted to paint their building. I don't know if they have left that building now in my point. They wanted to paint that building. They bought all the paint they use because we're importing paint. They bought all the paint from us. Listen to this, Dennis. They bought all the paint from us. And I was criticizing Madam Salif daily. Daily. These guys will come out from his personal house, his office, his this. He will come, except we didn't have it. Then he will go somewhere else. Think about it. His deputy wanted to bring a car from the States. He put it in our container. and I'm criticizing this government. They will come to me and they will say they complain. The NSA guys will say they complain you to us, but the thing you're saying are true. So we can't do anything about what they are saying. These guys here today, if you just criticize Judge Weah, they block you on Facebook. If somebody had been like, bro, if I'm dead now, something bad happened to me. They're telling you the reality.
So Mr. Tulay, you work with these people to criticize Madam Salif, who you think was doing better. Do you have any regret that the people you use now, they have come back to bite you? Because
no, they're not biting me in a sense. They just betray the Liberian people.
Do you have any regrets of collaborating with them?
Yes, I have a lot of regret. I didn't support them for leadership, so I don't have a regret in that area. When Judge Weah was running, I said he was unfit for office, and I enumerated the reasons why I said he was unfit. I spoke and I said he was unfit for office, and I still say today that he's unfit for office. And I got the receipts are there. Go read my Facebook post prior to and right after the elections. I said the guy was unfit for office. I said it was going to be a catastrophe. I even went on to say, listen to this. I said he was ruled with paranoia. All right.
Was it after you left the radio station or while you were still there?
No, I was in the States. I left the radio station in 2014 when I left Liberia. Okay.
So why at the radio station did you predict that Judge Weah was going to be a failure, a disaster?
Oh, no. You can't come to the man. You can't be sitting down on the man microphone and criticize the man, bro. I think that's the reason why people even thought I was his supporter, because you can't sit on the man radio station and then criticize the man. I never spoke about him. I never criticized him. I never promoted him. I just left him. I was there. I was doing my thing. I was criticizing Madam Salif. They would come. They would sit to the Bova Chamber. He was a regular. The guy who today owns, I think, that Prime FM, the deputy for NSA. The deputy for NSA. I forgot his name. Oh God.
All right.
Okay, I just
Well,
saying
that's the
something,
point.
right? The guy, I think the one that got prime FM on Benson Street up the hill there, right? When he was building it, he told me if I went in the library, he wanted me to head it. What's the guy name? He used to be with the police. He was a CID guy at the police before. God have mercy on me. My good friend. He's a good
That's
friend
okay.
of mine. What the reason I'm bringing it up is at that time he supported Salif. He would come pay for 2 hours. My show was 1 hour. He would tell it because it was just music and other things. He would pay for 2 hours just to sit down for us because if I criticize Manaseli for 1 hour, Anthony, the guy will come and pay for an extra hour, sometimes 1 hour, 30 minutes. He will go to the office and pay for that extra time so that I can remain on the radio so he can come and sit with me to defend or challenge the things that I said on my show. I'm telling you today, the guy who owns that radio station. But let me go. This is what. So you asked the question: if I'm disappointed, I'm disappointed in them. I actually thought that these guys understood what it was to be a grassroots. I actually thought these guys knew what that from the inception of Liberia, the poor people have never gotten a very good deal. I thought they understood this, not knowing. All they wanted to do was to replace Madame Salif so it can be our time too.
But why did you think that? Why did you think they understood it, Mr. Tulay?
Oh, because it wasn't just me sitting on the radio. These guys were with me. We had conversations on a daily basis. All of them, you see in that video that I was showing that dancing that were around from the 12. We used to sit on at a lagoon in the night with even the United Party guys, and we have round table. Sila, we will sit and have round table and talk, and we criticize, and we argue, we debate the issues. These guys you see sitting here, so they be dancing here today. This one, Janjik Baba here, Grand Bazaar Superintendent. The man used to be sitting outside, Kalasco, standing outside waiting for me to finish the show. Today, all of them block me on Facebook. Why? Because you can't criticize this group. But we could criticize Manaseli and then sit with them and drink and eat.
Okay, very good. I think Mr. Jai, Mr. Tulay, if you're going to do anything in Liberia, you have to be susceptible to criticism so that if you're going the wrong way, you can make an adjustment because there's no playbook. So the idea you have to be susceptible to criticism and willing to redirect if you're going wrong. I think that is a prerequisite if you're going to do anything in that country.
So Jimmy, let's conclude on the on 17 years of the CDC.
Well, 17 years, they still have the power inherent. They still can be to make a change. They still can do something for the masses, but they have to have that want. It cannot be about them. And second of all, yes, you have to have the faithful, but also you have to have the requisite expertise. You need experts. You need people who've been there and know how to do this. Part of their failure is because they don't have experts. What they are doing, they are soliciting foreign contractors, foreign expertise when they are not capable of doing the job.
But Jimmy, we are the game is the 90-minute game. We have gone 75 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. What's the hope?
The hope for a turnaround,
right? Because if 75 minutes and you have 3 goals against you, I don't know if you think that the CDC is winning in the 75th minute or what you think. So what is the hope of doing anything differently?
Good question. This is what we saw we want to see the opposite that what we saw with maybe the UP administration. We saw the first 6 years of Madame Sirleaf rule as very formidable. We saw them bring back a lot of institutions. We saw them lay the groundwork for other promotional things to happen, like education, healthcare, and all. We saw them lay the groundwork. But it wasn't.
Eastman, what you saw in 6 years that you say were formidable, I saw a charade.
You're right, but let's
there was a failed state, Mr. Tulay. Again, we do criticism, and maybe we don't realize the enormity of the problem. Liberia are practically a failed state, and
So
she had to resuscitate.
comparing the Salif 75 minutes with the We Are 75 minutes, what do we see in this game, in this 90-minute game?
Good question.
I think the first half, or if you want to call it first half or second half, Madam Sirleaf first half was better than her second half.
No,
I hope to see his second half. I hope to see this one, the second half, be better than the first half.
Hey,
That's-
but
How
we're
do
not
you
giving it to
compare
him,
Salif first half to We Are's first half?
Yeah, you say it again because I had to.
How do
Sorry,
you compare
sorry.
Salif first half with We Are's first half? What?
Oh no, Sirleaf first half, she had more trouble, a far more organized, more expertise. She had some of the best of us.
I'm talking about
our best
now,
people.
what I'm not talking about players on the team. I'm talking about the goals. I'm
In
talking
terms of
about
deliverables.
accomplishments.
The deliverables. Yes, we did bring certain institutions back, like I was saying, some government functions back. We saw commerce coming back. Liberia came back to like commercially.
It's better than the We Are own, right?
Yes, in that aspect, we saw more gains. I haven't seen enough gains
And she
yet in this first half. There were
that
more gains.
same 6
I could
years-
enumerate more gains during Ellen's first half. Then I can enumerate the gains here. I see
Let's
fewer
go to
gains.
Mr.
in
T.H.
this.
to conclude on the.
Let me just make one quick point. In that same 6 years, she laid the groundwork for where we are today. That same 6 years. She laid the groundwork. That same 6 years, she allowed the national legislature to codify their salaries. In that same 6 years.
So I think that was the second 6 years. That's when all that bad things started.
No,
happening.
the first
Mr.
6
Pule, because we are talking about CDC, so
Okay, let go. You're right. Let go.
Mr. C, let's conclude on the CDC 17 years later.
Dennis, I will conclude by saying when we are talking about the politics of fighting for elected positions, the CDC has a formidable success. It won the presidency. The CDC was able to win legislative seats compared to most parties in Liberia in a span of time that the CDC has been around. That is a success. The records are there. We can debate that. In terms of mobilization, no, if you are a political party, if you want to win, you have to be able to bring people on your side. You have to resonate with the people. You have to be able to connect with the people. And CDC, because of did not find it difficult connecting with the people. It was just because of this guy. He has a popularity that we can all dismiss. So whether or not we can tie it to Iconis startup, yeah, it was a success because it was a decision they made to have using all along. Politically, it was calculative. Mm-hmm. Except that is not a leader. Is not a leader, and this is debatable because my understanding of a leader, I don't see that in He's an arrowhead. He's being protected. He's being celebrated. This man is a celebrant. All right, so
or celebrating. That's the word. A celebrity.
There's no word called celebrant.
I mean, the person is celebrating maybe their birthday or whatever. A celebrity is like a noun for a person who has a status. Celebrate anybody.
So there is a celebrity and there's a celebrant. I think that word also holds. I continue to use my word. It's a celebrity. And George said it's on record. I appreciate what you try to say there, but the word I'm using, celebrant, I research it. I know what I'm saying. I agree with you. Joshua is a celebrity. Because of his celebrity status, a celebrant is somebody who is being celebrated.
Exactly.
For occasion. It can be a birthday. And we're talking politics. And when it comes to politics, Joshua is a celebrant. What do we see on Facebook every day, Tulay? Is this man not being celebrated as though it's a birthday?
That makes him
this is a
party.
This is a party. This is a party that is having its 17 years anniversary. And who do they celebrate? They celebrate the leader for the most part, right? So, Dennis, let me conclude here quickly. That is the success of the CDC. The CDC failures are all over the place because when it comes to governance, they are not there. The one I would say is, are they propos? Look at Nathaniel McGill. This man paid a mausoleum for his dead mother. They have electricity 24/7 at that place. For Mange, we did not say a thing about that because he even set that very bad example. They have abandoned their friends who stood with them. They don't even want to. They were talking about they block them. They don't take their calls. We all have our own experiences with these individuals. They are detached from reality today. So people who are close to them because they want to survive, they will still celebrate them. They're building markets and doing all these things. People, I mean, that's their responsibility by the way they're supposed to build markets. But are these markets, some of these people who celebrating these markets, they don't even have the first dollar to go in that market to buy anything. Yeah. Their parents don't even have the first, $2,000 to start a business or to go in that market to sell. Yet they celebrate those people. So when it comes to the politics, they have a way of trying to cajole the people so that they can see them as their gods. And that is what they are doing. But if you look at the reality on the ground, the economic pinch that the people facing, the CDC is a failure.
Thank you. And I want to agree with that the CDC has disappointed the people. The CDC has failed. Very good as a political party to stay afloat all these years. Other parties have gone on the wayside. They were not viable. The CDC remained viable until they took power. But when it comes to governance, the CDC is like they're not even thinking about that. It's like they are doing something. But again, the people that can make a ruling party, to do better, they are the opposition, right? But if you have an opposition that is criticizing itself, they are at each other's throat. His feet is not being held to the fire by these opposition people. So it's like he's having a free reign. He's partying. He's right to dance booga. I mean, from the
Liar Man.
Yeah, he's making music.
Zombie.
He's a zombie. He's a Mother Rita and all that kind of nonsense. Just because you have people that are not holding me accountable. They can't talk about the budget. They can't talk about the economy. They cannot talk about anything that will make we have to look bad. All they talk about is who put their big toe in the document or who did this and who did that. But let's fast forward to the census. When I was in high school at Monrovia College, I learned census is every 10 years. Okay? So the last census, when Madame Salif got to power, took place 2008. So meaning 2018, there should have been a census. We've never had one, and we are still hoping for one. Now, it is being reported that let's have the census the same time we are having the election, October 2023. The legislature said, no, that's going to be tough, so let's have a March. Mr. CA, are we going to have census in March of 2023? What sense does this make? Is it possible? In my town, they say the time the rabbit was on top of the hill, his foot did not reach to heaven. Now you're in the valley, you think you're going to make it? What's your take? Census, March 2023.
Dennis, let me lay it down first of all. The legislators needed to get back to the national legislature with a proposal as to when it will be able to conduct the census, since the census was postponed because it was not feasible. We know one of the reasons they couldn't conduct the census was because of money. They stole some of the money. It was reported. Now, whether or not the president did something about it is another thing. Whether or not the very legislature did something about it is another thing. Howbeit, the very legislature came up with a proposal saying, hey, we want the census to be conducted in October of 2023. This is the very time of election. So this is legis that has not been able to conduct the census. The census now has been postponed for, I think, over 3 times now. And they are saying this time they have all the things, they should have all the things they will need to conduct the census during election time. I think the legislature is right to say, no, you can't do that because there will be election. Now, what we see in Liberia then is the very people that are hired to conduct these census, who are enumerators, these are the very people the National Election Commission will hire to do the election work. And it will be in the same villages and towns and counties that, So we'll have two pieces of national effort going on at the same time. And the rainy season, so the legislature are looking at the issue of rainy season and staffing and all that. Say, well, we can't have two major national events or processes going on at the same time. You have to do a match. I just hope the legislature is going to provide the necessary funding, because the legislature have been budgeting very little money for the conduct of the census and been relying on foreigners. That's the word I like to use as intention about that. People saying, oh, donor. I don't want to hear no donating. You rely on foreigners to give you money to do your work. It's like somebody relying on a neighbor to feed his children. That is sickening, but that has been the story of Liberia. So, Dennis, this census thing should have been done, you are right, since 2018. The 2008 census, I participated in it. It ended in May. The very day they ended, the next day I was on the plane coming to the US as a DV winner. My census bag, I came with it. Somebody didn't let the idea that I kept it all along. The person threw it away. So I was part of that census. Right now, we don't know how many persons there are when it comes to our population. We don't know how many persons in each county.
And that brings me to Mr. Eastman. Mr. Eastman, do these people really understand the purpose of census?
Very good.
You are going to an election, you don't know how many persons you are allocating every year in the budget, you don't know how many persons. Do they understand?
You know, it's a brilliant question. And that is what is the crux of the problem. A lot of our top people and officials, they don't understand the essence of why we do certain things. So that's why they believe they can appoint just anybody to do it, because they don't understand the essence of it. Okay, a census involves collecting, compiling, analyzing, evaluating, publishing, and disseminating statistical facts. If you are not prepared to do this, you can't do it properly. And I only will agree to hold off the census because you have not done the necessary preparation to do it. You have to train people. You have to educate people. You have to get them ready to conduct a scientific study of your population to know where the country is going. And you have not done any of this. In other words, if you were to spend that money and send the ill-prepared people out, it will be bogus and useless. So until we learn to lay the proper groundwork to do to accomplish a task, now not just anybody can do it. You need an expert heading the process, not somebody who doesn't know it. And do not depend on somebody from Ghana, Ivory Coast, or Guinea to come in the country to show you how to do it properly when you have expertise that you can have there on the ground training other people to do it. So the problem is what you just said. We do not understand the essence of 90% of the system and administration of the Liberian government. They don't understand it, unless they wouldn't be appointing people who don't know what they're doing.
Thank you. And Mr. Tulay, the latest report here is the census has been postponed to June. Here is what I read on Liberia's 5th National and Population Census, which was scheduled on March 22, 2022, has been deferred to June 19, 2022. The House's chairman on good governance and government reform, Mr. Larry P. Yankwe, has announced. Is that breaking news?
Before, I don't know about now. I know, no, it's not breaking news. Before, the head of Legius, or Legius, as they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But it's LIS, so it's supposed to be Legius. Was hired through a process. You know, you had to get applications and look at it, and then a committee, not only of Liberians but also of our foreign partners, worked in selecting the best candidate for that job. I know that doesn't hold anymore because we are now people who stick to best practices as a nation. But the reality here, let's look at some facts here. The census is an important thing. And I will say, Jimmy, it's not because they don't understand the important or they how immensely important conducting a census is. It's not that they don't understand it. What happened in Liberia is money. What they do with money. They, as long as it's not to benefit them, then it's not important. It's a matter of importance and not understanding what it is about. They know, many of them are enlightened, but they will not put premium on it because it's going to take money from the budget, and it's not. Nobody gets kickback. No senator is getting a brown envelope from this process, so nobody want to champion it, as it were, except for someone like Larry Yankwe, I think that's his name, right?
Yeah,
He wants to make sure.
Yombly, both of them.
Yombly too is behind this because it's statutory, right? It's supposed to be held. It's by the Constitution, so it's also, and we cannot have a national election without having a census. We got to know the electorate. We got to know how many persons, so that at the end of the day, you can be able to say, okay, yeah, all out of our population, we had maybe 50% or 55% or 45% of our population that was censored. That means those who were censored, 55 or 45% are eligible to vote. Or we have a lot of 17-year-old that are going to also be promoted to 18-year-old by the time we turn into next year before we get to election. So this is a estimated population that we know that are supposed to vote. So if that is the problem, then I mean, if that is done, then you would know how to really adjust, your districts. The electoral districts would be designed or drawn out, and then elections can be held based on the statutes. But like we say, if you have a government, right, that says they have a budget of maybe $600,000, $600 million, and almost 90% of that amount goes to recurring costs, then you know where their priority lies. Just as simple as that. So it's all about money right now. It's all about money. And like Anthony was saying, Liberia is one of the few countries where, or it happened with Liberians too. Liberia is, the analogy I always draw is like a man who takes his salary but goes out there and parties and everything, buy beer, have a lot of girlfriends, but then when it's time to pay his children's school fee, he go to his brother and say, "Man, please help me pay my children's school fee." Or like he has a pregnant woman and he doesn't budget for the woman's going to give birth. The woman is she's entering her third trimester. He knows it's just about 2 months remaining for her to give birth. The doctors have said that, but the guy budgets. He doesn't put any money away. And then the day the woman goes into labor, he goes running around calling relatives, sending text messages, and homeworking people so book and saying mobile money so he can buy or pay hospital fee and buy top and everything.
Putting all the lies together.
Yeah, not knowing a real man who had already budgeted for tops and bought all these things for the woman and for the baby, kept it at home, just waiting, or even a gold bag is ready. Or gold bag is already prepped and ready for her to go to the hospital whenever the time comes. So Liberia is a joke. Mr. Eastman, I'm telling you the reality here.
And let's look at it this other way, right? Like, who benefits if we don't know the number of persons in the country, right? The election is coming. And Mr. Tulay, like me, you also live in Nigeria, and you were saying the other day, Nigeria is the only country where the North has more population, because what they do in the North is they are in control, and it's like they follow the leader mentality. Yeah. So these people, when it's time for census, they're going to register even the 20-year-old to vote, right? So at the end of the day, they have everybody. So if we don't have a census, it is very possible that those in power, they register people, and maybe our population will be, based on the election, will be maybe 13 million. because you have no census. So if the election results come and say this party A or party X win 15 million people, just like our man King, what are we there to say?
You don't have a data set. You don't have a data set that you can check the results against and say, "Oh, we know in this district."
You know, as much as you touched the key area, data. Data is king right now in the world. You guys, all you are in science and tech today. Data is king. You don't have data. Just stop right there. Not just we can use it for the elections. That is one aspect of it, and maybe that's why it's important to some. But that data helps us to know how many schools we need, where we can put businesses, where we can expand roads, where we should put electricity. That data informs of important decisions if you mean seriously to build your nation. You can't guess. It's no longer a guessing game. We make decisions based on data, not assumptions. And we're not doing all the groundwork. We don't really know how the waters flow. Do we know how waters affect us? We claim that, okay, we need more water in the dam. Do we know how much electricity they need in Ambassador now or in the coming years? We can't make informed decisions without the proper data. It's essential. And guess what? You don't do this in a census year. This is a process that takes over the 10 years. Every 10 years, you should do a census. During that 10 years, you're supposed to be making different observations and preparations so you can do the census properly. So it's not just a one-day effect. I agree with you, Mr. Tulay, that sometimes these things are not important to people, but I beg to differ that these guys don't get the depth of what these things are we doing. I've seen managing directors of technical LEC come. They don't really know how that organization works.
But with the census is a what Jai was talking about right now is the reality here. Let me say this. The government have been postponing this thing because they will be the next beneficiary of going into an election without a data set to be able to check the election results against. That's the reason why you see Yanko and Yombli have said, no, we're not going to do this, because left for them, they will keep postponing. Who has the national legislature? Who is the executive? Under which branch does Liz just operate? Let's operate under the executive. The legislative director general reports to the president of the Republic of Liberia. And at the end of the day, they know fully well that if you have a data set, then the electoral results from a polling place can be checked against so we know how many persons living in District 8, for instance. So if we start producing the CDB King result in District 8, the census say in District 8 you got 100,000 persons living in District 8, or maybe let's say 200,000 persons living in District 8. All that 200 persons based on the data set, we only have eligible voters, maybe 110,000. All of that amount because we have a lot of children and stuff, or maybe 120,000. Then when we finish calculating, we say the election, whole election, and we do the calculation, and we see that the data set say 450,000 persons voted in District 8. What does that say? Fraud. Okay, so I've already heard that these guys know that they have messed up so much that they've already put into place mechanism to print extra voter cards, okay, to have them do ballot stuffing. That is their plan. They want to do ballot stuffing. So how is that going to work without a data set? Because once you have a data set and you have the registration done by NEC, and we know how many persons register in polling places, you can cheat that way. You will cheat in other ways. They will set the algorithm, whatever, and they will get the results they want. But it will be hard when the margin is too big. So we know that I have heard from credible sources that this thing was a plan not to have this thing, and also again, NEC results will be shambolic. I'm talking about the pre-registration to the voting stuff will be so shambolic. Because guess what, Mr. Eastman? If you don't have the data set, then they can come up with any amount of voting, any amount of registration in terms of names for neck polling places. You understand what I'm saying, boss? You can say a polling place that should have only 2,000 votes have 10,000 votes. You got the names. You don't need biometrics. They say malfunction, whatever, so that when the names will have to go by names and numbers. And at the end of the day, this is their plan. They got David Brown Kekula there, who has already impugned herself, who has already dirtied herself, showing that she's unfit to conduct the national elections as the chair of NEC. So we in trouble waters here, brother. You are muted.
If we look at the cost of election, just the by-election in Lofa alone, I mean, we saw the numbers that were put out there. If we look at the cost for census, I mean, we've not been able to get money on our own to have an election. We've not been able to get money on our own to have census. Now we are saying we're going to do both in 2 years. To me, that's not realistic. Again, if you look at, we're talking about the purpose of census. If you have your child in ABC or in kindergarten here in the United States, the first time they come home, they will say class of maybe 2032 or something like that, because they know the year they're going to be in 12th grade.
Yeah.
So the people are counting. Based on that, they're able to allocate resources for high school, for elementary, because they know how many people are going to come out. So if we don't have census, how do we plan? Again, I always say numbers are so important that even God Almighty was able to allocate one book of the Bible.
Whoa, book of the Bible. God said no. But Jai, you brought up a good point. I like one point you brought up. Everything we do, we go to foreign donors. Please help me to do this. Please give me money to do this. This is a reflection of the inability of the people who are ruling to generate income, to generate wealth. You do not know how to do this, but you on top of it. There's wealth in Liberia. The other day, we're going to get to the topic. There's mining going on that nobody knows what's going on with that money. It's not checked, because it's not in some people's interest to check it. But we don't even know what is going out of the ground. We don't even know what is traded. You cannot be a sovereign nation, and you can't even eat unless you go to somebody to beg for food. There's no pride. There's nothing. Why? What are you? What is the use of calling yourself independent and sovereign when you can't do anything unless somebody comes to your aid? And it's not because we don't have mineral resource. It's not because we don't have human resource. It's because we are not putting those resources to use. And the only way to do it is that people who in charge, who direct, who come up with the plans, they have to know how to develop wealth. This is why I always go back that the people on top have to know what to do, or it will never be done.
You don't know how things work.
That's
exactly. Dennis, before you come in, that is the danger of not having a visionary, or even just a knowledgeable person as head of state. The person doesn't know how things work. And what even exacerbates is the person's lack of knowledge or ignorance is the fact that he surrounds himself with equally ignorant people who act like they know, but they don't know nothing. Case in point, George, we are Twe, Koji, and McGill. They are just messing Liberia up one day at a time. All they care about is accumulation of wealth. They're so concerned about accumulation of wealth because they know how bad they have performed. So, and they know fully well the Liberian people stand in repudiation of their mess that they are doing. They know fully well that they are going to be voted out of office. They have that sense. They know. They're not, what they're doing is not sustainable. But the fact is, that is where we are. We have a group of people who don't know how things work, leading a nation. We got children in charge of key policies, implementation. So as a result, you're going to suffer. So this is where we are. Our nation is in a state of flux. Our nation has reached a very, very, very serious point, and almost as a failed state.
At a critical point.
Jimmy mentioned wealth creation. Do you know we have not sat down and looked at our options as a nation and decide which trajectory we're supposed to go on, because signing concession agreements does not produce wealth for a nation. These people pay very less on lease, and then they pay very less in terms of actual revenue. So what we need to do is to create, and how do we do that? By creating the way our nation creates wealth is by creating wealthy people. Mr. Eastman, I can say this louder. The way a nation creates wealth is by ensuring that her people are able to be wealthy individually, not paying money to government revenue. When individuals have money, they drive national development. When you have a nation of beggars and poor people, national development suffers. Because the thing is, people become existential in their mentality, not because they are lazy, but because the situation, the lack of opportunity causes them to be existential. When I mean animals are existential. When they wake up in the morning, the only thing that is on their mind is what do I find to eat that will make me to live to see the next day. That is how Liberians are. We've turned ourselves to be almost like animals. We live one day at a time, Lord Jesus. So as a result, our whole nation suffers. Let me say this last thing. Where we are, wealth creation, the best way to create wealth. What is driving Rwanda? Let me just make this point, Dennis. When the Rwandan war ended and Kagame became president, do you know what Kagame did? Kagame look at, because a lot of the women in Romania is already highland, but a lot of the women were producing women cooperatives were producing very high quality coffee. So do you know what they did? They went and sourced for coffee producing machines to ensure that the produce is value added, that they add value. So they're not just taking the raw coffee and shipping it out of Rwanda. They want to make sure that they add value to it, that when it leaves Rwanda, it has value, so it can track more foreign investment, more foreign money, rather, more foreign revenue, forex, foreign exchange. But we haven't, look, Dennis, go ahead.
Let's leave it that way. I just want to say that because of this, we and you guys have said it very succinctly, that you need to create wealth, as you're saying. People need to work. It is the hardship, the desperation that is now leading Liberians, even girls, to go into very bad places to earn a living. Someone say, well, let me just go. It's better that I go somewhere than for me to die here, because the people are poor. There's nothing to eat. And Jimmy, you said it, if you are begging, if you keep begging around for people to conduct your census, for people to fix your hospital, I mean, you are a disgrace in any village that you live in if you are the one going around begging people for your daily sustenance. I was told a story of the story of a man in River G. This guy, everybody knew that he carried his spoon in his pocket. This man is married. So when you get somewhere, by the time you say, let's eat, you don't have to worry about spoon. You just grab it from his pocket. So they said for him, one day they say he went to eat. They invited him. And by the time he took his spoon to put it in the food, guess what happened? His hand broke. So they said that voodoo. I mean, he went like this. I don't know what
they have the capacity to do that thing, man.
And the man started crying. So everybody started laughing. So right now, our country under President Weah has become that guy carrying spoon in their pocket to eat other people's food, and that is sad. Mr. Tulay, let's start with our next topic, is the mining business. This illegal mining. And one thing I want to point out here is most of the time under President Weah, anytime you talk about these things, the question you get, this thing been going on since 1847. Since 1847.
Oh, man.
Anybody who will be on the live today, please put that 1847 thing in your pocket and let's talk about today. Mr. Tulay, Mr.
All right.
Tulay. Illegal mining in Liberia.
Dennis, it's not unique to Liberia. Illegal mining is not unique to Liberia. Nations across the world are suffering from it. In Paraguay, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Brazil, they are destroying the habitat. They are destroying vast swathes of natural forests through illegal mining. They take excavators in there. They just throw trees down. They just destroy the land. And they're not even using some of the best practices to make sure that they claim all the gold that goes through their sluices. And one of the danger is this: the pollution. The most dangerous thing that comes out of this is the pollution. But what makes Liberia bad, and like other countries too, is the corruption of. So I'll be honest with you. Like I said, it's not. This thing is not related to Liberia. It's not only unique to Liberia. But what's unique to us is, in other countries, it's normally the citizens that are doing the destruction, and they get the real benefit from it, even though they're destroying their own, land or traditional land. But in Liberia, it's foreigners that are causing the most damage in Liberia. And what they do, they find one or two very greedy people to work through. And and again, it comes down to the same thing again. Right. If these societies were being incentivized to go into agriculture, where they were creating wealth on their own and stuff like that, you small money you dangle before them would not be too tempting. And, Jimmy, you will not dangle a little bit of money before them for it to become too tempting. They will not sell their land for $250. But when a man is broke and desperate, you put $250 in his hand that he hasn't seen for a long time, he's going to jump on it and give you whatever rights you want. So you got the Burkinabes, you got the Nigerians, you got some Ghanaians, you got the Fulanese, you got the Guinea Pele people. They all in our forests all over Liberia. Got the Chinese.
But Tulay, these people will not do that on their own. So they've been assisted by people in power. So
yeah, but sometimes they're not being assisted by anybody in power. They're being assisted by people. Like I said, they go to this. They find one or two influential person in a village or in a clan who can use, and then it's $200 here, it's $100 there, and a promise.
So that means the government is negligent, right?
The government is very negligent. Look, my point here is we have an army, right, that was trained under Madam Salif. They just sit there to collect rent every time. I saw in Ghana, when Ghana wanted to deal with this thing, Ghana knows that people are doing illegal mining, but also Ghana know that these people are mining because the traditional people on the land have rights, and they give the rights to these people to mine. But Ghana knows that when it comes to environmental degradation is a national issue. So, and then the Chinese guys are, instead of creating catchments, all right, in mining, big companies, they create catchment pools for their how you call it, their runoffs, when they wash the minerals, that dirty water to go somewhere, and then they also find places to put their tailings. But in Ghana, what was happening was that the Chinese people, because they didn't want, not only Chinese, but the Chinese people are the ones that can do on a large scale because they got the big machines, the excavators, the big pump, the industrial size water pumps and stuff. So what the Chinese were doing, for more than 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers, they were putting pipes together in the forest to send the water back into the rivers. That dirty water. Instead of creating sediment pools where the water will settle and the dirt from the water will settle down into the pool, then they can release the fresh water back into the environment or even reuse it. No, the Chinese people are putting the water back into the environment. So as a result, and that water to bring it back in the environment also have mercury in it. So it was really causing serious environmental pollution. The reason why I'm raising this is this. We have an army. It was the Ghanaian army that went out, and because what they did, they told people to stop. They didn't do it. They just sent the people. They started burning their excavators. You know, excavator costs $700,000, $1 million. They are very expensive machines. They started burning their excavators. They started destroying their dredges. They started destroying everything. Anywhere they found you causing environmental pollution, they shut you down. And they didn't shut you down by seizing the stuff, because they felt if they seize it and took it to these local government offices, these people will go and bribe the people and take the machines back. So the way to do it, to punish you so that you can't come back right away and cause you to really experience the pain. And those who are doing it to serve as a deterrent, they burn everything they saw, destroy everything and burn it. We can do the same. We can use our military, send our military out there to protect our forests, because what we have is what we're supposed to leave for our children. If we allow people to just come in and destroy everything, what are we going to be able to leave for our children?
Thank you, Jimmy. Illegal mining.
Yes, I want to,
and how we can fix it, man.
I want to come in with that first statement. This thing been done from J.J. Robert days. Everybody needs to hear this. Anybody who tells you that, they just gave you an excuse. That is the worst excuse. I've been hearing that excuse over and over again for the last 40, 50 years. They're saying it's been done since. That doesn't excuse you from doing it. Because it was done before doesn't mean you should do it. It doesn't mean we're talking about the People Redemption Council. We started calling them the people repeating corruption. It doesn't mean because those things were done, you have any excuse or any get out of jail free card to do it. Okay? So anytime we hear that, just know somebody is giving you an excuse for not doing what they need to do. Okay? Yes, illegal mining. If you, just like we said, you're a father of a home, there's no way you can get. You've been begging every time you want anything, you can beg, but your pocket is leaking somewhere in the house. You know is leaking, and you don't go after it. Come talk about, you know they're mining gold there. They're mining this. Why are you not tightening the screws on there? So what if the people don't give you money? So what your children will starve? You have somewhere where you can. Our resources. You have to be on top of your resources because that is all you have. Unless you're telling me you're going to always just keep borrowing until you sell the whole country. Because if you the more you borrow, you have to pay it back. If you're not generating revenue, if you're not growing your GDP, how are you going to pay back these loans? It's not sustainable, as Mr. Tulay was saying. You are borrowing at an unsustainable rate because you are not growing your GDP. And this is the economics. I don't hear anybody talking. When I want to hear a finance minister or people talk, I want to hear you telling me how your GDP is growing, not how much revenue you're collecting from year in year. So the idea is this illegal mining. This is a key source where we can generate a lot of income. And then, as Mr. Tulay pointed out, not just necessarily the raw material. Let it take it through some stages of production that we can get some value added out of it. There's a lot, and we'll get people to work. Number 3, a lot of this money is just leaving the country. It's not even touching our coffers. It's touching some people, maybe some people pockets, but it's more egress of cash out of the country all the time. And why are we losing when we don't have money? We're a poor country. Why are we not poor? It requires work. Now, one aspect where we have been suffering from, Dennis, we have to get used to work. This thing requires work to police that sort of thing. Just like Mr. Tulay was saying, all around the world is a challenge. Sometimes they say when they discover oil, that's a curse. Can you imagine? Your mineral resources is like oil.
And
you can say it's a curse.
Another part is the pollution as a result of this, right? Because nobody is mining. Because of this artisan mining, people are dying. There was just pollution in Cape Mount, right?
Oh no, that one is not artisanal. That one is not artisanal.
No, I'm not saying it's artisanal. I'm saying because of these things are happening, nobody is policing anything. We have our EPA that is completely hands off, and so. Also,
let me tell you how it works, John. Let me tell you how it works. You see, like a company like that, right? The NASCO people will go, and these guys have special funding for everybody that's supposed to come do inspection. So let me say this: when I did inspections before, when inspectors are going, the purpose is not to go and inspect. The purpose to go and collect the bag of rice and the money that is supposed to collect monthly from these places. That's how it works. So consequently, what happens is, like for instance, you're supposed to have here in America, in Canada, I think it's not OSHA, it's called MSHA, I think so. Mining safety, whatever. I forgot the name. Jimmy, can you look for it while I'm talking? The people who take care of mining safety, because they're not only taking care of personnel safety, but they're also responsible for how you conduct your mining if you are sticking to regulations. Right. Like for instance, tilling pools. Not tilling pool, the runoff pools where they do the settlement pools that is mean for it.
Right.
The settlement pools have to be built and constructed in a particular way. The retaining walls, the dikes have to be very sound. You can't have any seepage because the water is already very, very polluted. The people know they don't want that water going back into the environment. So they want
to conclude on that so we can go to our next topic and then take questions.
Okay, so my point here is
ICMM.
Yes.
International Council of Mining and Metals.
Okay. So once you don't have standards being adhered to, you have environmental pollution. And it's not only environmental pollution, it's the destruction of prime forests, the destruction of habitats of almost rare species, and like we said, the government is getting nothing back from it. Nothing in return. Few individuals get the thing, but the Chinese people will take the gold out of Liberia. The other people will just come and take the gold out of Liberia, and nobody will benefit. And look, we are not securing the future. And the last thing I wanted to say is Liberia is a nation, like a city without gates, without fence. Anybody can come in and cause any damage.
You're talking like a pastor now.
Yeah, I am. It's just we are a city without gates. Let me put it that way. Because we don't have elders at the gates that are responsible. When the elders sit at the gates, they are able to determine what goes in and what comes out. Nothing goes in and comes out without their approval. But when you don't have elders at the gates, then you have an open system that any Moravian can come in and create havoc. And that's what's happening in Liberia. We don't have leadership that takes a responsibility for this nation. Look, man, national leadership is not joke.
No, it's not joke. Thank you. One more aspect I want to direct our attention to is when there's a failure from our national leadership. So we tend to sometimes blame other nationals, like in Nimba, Grand Jita, and other areas. Right now, people are blaming the Burkinabés. The Burkinabés are doing this, and these things can cause almost what we saw in Germany, where a country will just hate another group of people who are maybe trying to just look for a simple livelihood. If we have a government that is responsible, that is able to regulate these things, we will not be blaming Burkinabés, so that people away now will see the Burkinabés as evil people. So you will rally some or anti-immigrant or anti-foreigner sentiment against those people, so that we go after them. But they shouldn't be the one. They too, like us in America, are looking for a living. So government must be responsible enough to create those conditions so that these people can work. If their work is to make farm for other people, have something set up so that they can come and make farm. But because government has failed us and these people are exploiting those loopholes, we tend to blame them, and we tend to those can cause our national wars, and people can hate other people just because of that. We will take a short break. When we come back, we're going to discuss our last issue and then take calls. The number on the screen is 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. And we'll be discussing the plight of the Liberian girls in Oman and Dubai. Let me add that. Yesterday we had an interview and it was eye-opening. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
You are muted, Dennis.
Thank you and welcome back. Welcome back to Focus on Liberia. This is On Point, and this is the special Father Day edition of On Point. I'm with the On Point crew here. In fact, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm only stealing the show right here. Yesterday, we did a show on the plight of Liberian girls. They were alleged human trafficking going on in Oman. And so we did a show. Let me just show you basically what we talk about here. There's a Liberian there who's being accused, and take a listen.
Tell us that is happening in Oman. I'm not backing Omani to say I'm not a Omani, I am a Liberian. So when situation happening, for me, I always like to investigate the year from both parties.
Thank you. We'll get more into that. What are you doing in Oman, and what is your status?
Yeah, I have my resident. I went to Balad Ashabi, which is my friend. He's invited me into Oman here for 4 years. And I have my resident, and I'm working with him. We have an office, legal office. I carry on various transaction work between various citizens that are stranded within the Middle East.
So what specifically do you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, on a daily basis, I work with him in his office as one of his assistant program manager office or businesses. So
all right. That was the show yesterday. A Liberian by the name of Freeman Gu. He's being accused of helping the Omanese bad people in Oman to enslave Liberian girls. So we had a show, and because of that was exposed. So we have Liberian girls who they are working and they've been abused. In some of them have been abused. There were a few others who said they were doing well and they are not being abused, but on the average. So after the show yesterday, we also got the news that Mr. Freeman Gu, alerted people, say, hey, those girls, they have they even went live and they are talking bad about the government, and so there was reprisal against those girls. So the idea that Liberians, people are leaving Liberia and going to those places, now they've been abused. That's what we'll be talking about. So at the end of the show, yesterday, now we did the show. So the news that we got about those same girls, because according to them, Mr. Freeman Gu told the people, and then they went to take reprisal against them. And I'm going to play that video in a minute so that you see what is obtaining.
A big plan there. You think you can't be putting your heart boy, yeah? Any kind you start beating me. Anytime you start beating me, anytime you can't beat me. You think that thing when you play a quarrel.
No, spend it
you really want to have young people. I say I want to you requesting for huge amount of money. We are not even able to get it. I don't even have mother, I don't have father. Who you expect for me to get that money from? I have to call people to help me. So you can release me. Why beating me for? Yeah, why beating me for? Take me to police station. I will not hear from you.
There's another video.
Take me to police station.
According to them, this is the one they call the slave master. This is the one the girls are working for. So those girls that escaped, they've been kept in his office.
Is this the Freeman Gu man?
No, this is the Omani. The Freeman Gu man is the one who was on the.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what Liberian are going through there in Oman. And as it stands, according to I spoke to some people in government, they say, well, the government is doing well, is trying to curtail this, but still you have exodus of people they are even using now. They are going through Sierra Leone to escape and go to Oman to work because They are desperate. They want work. Okay, and so
Um,
that's the situation that is going on, and they are going through. One of them I spoke to said, "Well, I was making $60 as a domestic uh, housemaid in Liberia. Now
yeah.
in Oman, I'm making $200, so it's okay. If my own country did not treat me this bad, I wouldn't be in this condition." So, I mean,
Yeah.
here is the situation now.
You want me
Yeah.
to go first with like Eastman?
No, let me just talk about the moral issue of it. This is modern. What we're looking at is modern day slavery. And when people who are impoverished are always going to be victims of this thing. Even some people who are not, even people who down on their luck or find themselves astray, are lured into this sort of arrangement with promises of grandeur or whatever, and next thing they know, they find themselves in an unbearable situation where they have to almost pay themselves to extricate themselves out of such a situation. One of the stories I hear that once these people leave, when they leave, the girls leave Liberia and go there, the first thing they do is seize their passports from them. Once someone has taken your passport, you don't even have a method to identify yourself. You can easily become an illegal person in that country once you don't have identification. Many places in the world, you have to carry your passports around with you at all times, because if you ever ask to show identification, that is the only thing you have to. If you don't show, that means you're illegal immigrant. So then, once you take that person's passport, you have already taken their freedom. And then what they force these girls and people to do, that they have to pay. They tell them stories like, "I paid for your coming here," or "I paid your pimp or your what you call for you. You have to pay me that money back, or you have to work for it until I can give you your passport back." This is nothing different than modern day slavery, and we're going to see it. Just the other day, what her name, Kane, Isa Kane, was convicted of a jury of 12 and brought down for trafficking girls to Oman. So we can see this is an organized ring, as a human. It's been going on for a long time. But I want to tell you, they treat we Africans worse. Africans are treated like animals. I have seen horrific film of how our people are treated in this country. So unless we bust up the ringleaders, we're going to see this more and more. And I hope that our embassy, not just to free those girls, but to actually go after the ringleaders who lure these girls into this life.
Let me show. This video was sent also. There's a Liberian girl there at work in Oman, and this girl, according to her, they gave her injection because when she was sick, and because of that, her leg hurt. But she still have to do the work. She had a big house, 8 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, kitchen, and all the different places to clean. Mr. Tulay, go ahead.
Again, this thing is not unique to Oman. I hate to stereotype people, but I found that Arabs are very, the Gulf Arabs especially. No, but it's not only restricted to the Gulf Arabs. The Lebanese also are very key offenders of human rights when it comes to domestic workers. But the Gulf Arabs, it's not only the domestic workers they treat bad. People have been, okay, like for instance, they pass laws that people can work between 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock outside during the summer months, but they still allow it to happen. So that when international people go and say, "Oh, people are dying," and you guys from your practices and things, they say, "Oh, these are the statutes we have on the books. We passed laws. We made it illegal. Nobody else will do this. Nobody else will do that." But so it's very simple. I can just pass the law for it to be on the book, but allow all these practices to go. And when offenders are taken to court, nothing comes out of it. They walk. They walk. So it's not only domestic workers, but you see their rapid growth. The Omani growth, the Qatari growth, the Abu Dhabi growth, the growth in Bahrain, the growth in Dubai, is driven by foreign migrant workers, and these foreign migrant workers work under horrific conditions for very little pay. But it's little, but it's better than what they were getting at home, because some of them at home, they had no real economic activity except working on the farm. So they have to go somewhere where they can exchange their labor for money. And these Gulf Arabs, they'll including the Saudis, but the Saudis is mostly with domestic workers, but they all exploit. It's just exploiting vulnerable people. That's what it is. But with the Gulf Arabs, especially the Gulf Arabs, I'm talking about the Bahrainians, the people from Dubai, the Abu Dhabi people, the Qataris, and the Omanis. Those 5 groups, and to a certain extent, the Kuwaitis and the Lebanese. When you add those groups up, they are the worst offenders and violators of human rights of vulnerable people who they take to go and work. Like Jimmy said, they take your passport, they make you virtual slaves. Some of them have to sleep outside with the animals. They don't sleep in anywhere good, and they don't eat good food. They eat once a day. Many places. Sometimes they are lucky. They have good employers who take care of them. Okay, they give them some rights. They take care of them, and they do a lot of good for some of these people. Even they help the people back home. They are lucky, but the majority, I'm talking about, that would be a rarity. Maybe out of you'll find out 100, maybe 5 good employers, but the rest of them, they are just the women folk. They do nothing. They sit home, but they are very, very evil, and they exploit these people. So with our case, we're doomed, because we don't have a nation that is executing agricultural policies, that is investing in small and medium scale enterprises, that is building a blooming local economy that can absorb people. No. So all you see around is despondence and hopelessness. And what people will do, they will go to where they feel they can get money. Apart from that, again, they're traveling to foreign countries. Some of these girls, if not for that, they will never enter a plane. So at least they can enter a plane and fly and go and enter and get on one of the best airports in the world and go. But the conditions of employment are horrible, because there are no oversight of these things. These middlemen will take these girls and pawn them over to the employers. The employers know that if I can do anything, and the reality, the people wicked.
Yeah,
I mentioned, they are just evil people. Let me just put it that way. Do you know, before I turn it over to you, that they are having workers right now who are going back to Nepal, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. The people are having catastrophic kidney failures because they work in very harsh conditions. They sweat so much. When you're working above 40 degrees Celsius, your body is liable to break down. You suffer from sudden death syndrome. So in certain cases, because when they don't die, they go back home, they suffer from these catastrophic kidney failures, and their poor governments have to put them on assistance to help them get in dialysis and all that crap, because these people want to build big buildings, but they want to build it onto a cheap labor. So they hire it's okay. There's something I've been studying. It's something I've been studying, and I know it very well, and I see. And what even peeves me about this is that there are no ends in sight. There's no solution. That Qatari World Cup that is going to be held, okay? The reality here is it's been built on slave labor.
Yeah. Let me show you again. There is this Liberian girl says she was tired to work, and so the entire family joined to beat her, and another domestic maid, as they call them, domestic servant, as they call them, from Sierra Leone, did the recording. Take a look.
That's what they're doing now. They affect me. You see them? That's what they're doing now. They affect me. Then they box me. They're all in the box me. You see them? Then they box me. Baba they box. Baba they knock them. It's the beginning all they knock. They all they knock.
So you have the grandpa, the mom,
and Dennis. They so treated a Kenyan lady. I don't know what it did to her, but today she is dumb and deaf. She's back home in Kenya today. She can't speak. She can't hear English anymore. I mean, even her language, Swahili. She's dumb. She's deaf. So people are wondering, what did these people do to this lady back in that place? A vibrant woman left to go and work, okay, but she was working hard, slave-like conditions, very horrible, and she resisted. And when she resisted, they wanted to give her injection or whatever they did to this woman. They sent her back in almost a catatonic state. She has recovered to a certain extent, but she's not verbal. She's non-verbal. She can't hear.
Jimmy, this is tough. I'm looking at your body language, Jimmy, and you are like, wow.
Yeah, Dennis. For me, this is very.
Watch this girl too. She's working in the bathroom. They gave her injection because she was feeling pain. Now she has her foot is hurting, but she still got to work. You can't stop working. She's going to fall because she cannot do this anymore. She's going to fall. So at some point she's crawling, but she has to work.
She doesn't work, you beat her.
So this thing is just modern day slavery. And I want to talk about this in a certain way. You see, our people are being taken and sent over there. This is the same thing that happened to our people before, many years ago. Nobody wanted to go leave their country like this. Some of these people are being forced to leave. But before, people were taken and carried away. And this is this is worse treatment than this happened to them. They were treated like complete animals. Our own Africans, they took us and treated us like that. And we still see it today. But this one, they're using techniques, lures, and stuff to get them. What needs to happen is education. Our people need to know that the grass is not greener on the other side, and the dangers that lurk behind the walls of these other countries are enormous. I don't know if we can get foreign countries to cooperate with us because they don't look at us as equals. They claim they're brothers. You see them hug you, brother, and they treat you like this. They're not your brothers. These people are never going to be your brothers who treat you like this. Okay, nobody treats other people like this unless they don't think that person is a human being. That's what we are seeing from them. And if these countries cannot bring these people to book, they have demonizing our people. The reason why they can do this, because they say African, we black people have horns on our head and tails on our back. We're animals, so they're allowed to do this to us. They don't do this to their own people. If we can't get our governments to get these other nations to cooperate us, then we will always see this. We have to promote ourselves before other people promote us. We have to love ourselves before other people promote us, and that is why it's so. What Mr. Tulay was saying is so essential that we make Liberia a place that we don't want to go anywhere else and have to suffer.
Exactly. Let me take one caller. Let me take one caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from? Hello, caller, your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, Mr. Ja, this is Elvis calling from Minnesota.
Elvis, welcome to FOL. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks to you again for hosting the show, and happy Father's Day to all of you guys on the show.
Thank you.
I'm angry, and part of that anger, I will transfer it to you, Mr. Ja.
Yeah.
Because yesterday I was on this show, and I was telling you that man who was sitting there called Fremont Gu, you are being so pleasant to him. I know it's part of your personality to be so pleasant to all your guests. But that guy did not deserve the dignity of the pleasantness that you showed to him. You know, the other girl I called from Liberia was telling you they got his family, he got his daughter in AMU Zion going to school. And that same barbaric act that he's performing on those girls, taking them into slavery, even sometimes sexual slavery that these people perpetrate on them, using that money to take care of his family back home. We need to go after his family. That's the only way it's going to hurt him. I told you on the show yesterday, you got to be careful, Mr. Jowdy, the person who's being brave in the moment and calling on video call, showing himself and talking and telling you where they are. This guy is going to retaliate against them. And here you are today saying on the show that he did exactly that.
Yes.
What are we doing to him? These people are the ones who are in the shadow. But he came out yesterday and showed his face. We need to go after him. We need to go after him and his family so they know that he's not going to go scot-free and come on the show and act like he's innocent. But right after the show, go and make these girls to get retaliated against. It's making me too angry.
Yeah.
Just talking about it won't solve the issue. We gotta advocate for them to the Liberian government to get them out of there, and also to put a ban on people who go into Oman and really scrutinize what they're going there for, who's going to support them. Let them give us their sponsor name and information. I mean, we have to do something. We have to do something about it. So that guy that you brought on the show yesterday, I mean, thank you. I ain't got nothing else to say. I'm just angry. I'm too overwhelmed with my emotion right now. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Continue, Jimmy.
So we need our people to put mechanisms in place that will forewarn our girls. And even if they do, just like the caller was saying, even if they do go, we need to be able to keep a record of them. But like we come back to the same question. There's a lot of demand on our limited resources. The way we're going to change the situation is how we prioritize. If just what Mr. Tulay and Bovo are using, if we are prioritizing salaries and people getting lavish money that is where it's going to go. But if we're prioritizing setting up industries, setting up community help programs that get people on their feet, that will yield better benefit. Our budget tells us who we are and what the nation is, where we are going. And if they're not investing, if it's not an investment portfolio, then we're not going to be the same place tomorrow. That is what it's telling us. We're not going to improve. You have to have money going toward investment before you improve your GDP, your capital production. It has to be that way. But because our government is set up that they are allowed to make salaries that more than anyone else, they are allowed to have $1 million budgets for small offices, and nothing comes out of it. The country as a whole will suffer. We have, I think the CDC as a let me go back to them. The CDC as a grassroots movement supposed to be advocating these things. They're supposed to be talking about these salaries, just how they talked about it during Ellen time. They should be talking about it now if they are truly grassroots organization. Jai, I think I don't hear you.
Dennis, where are you?
Sorry.
Okay.
Let me read a few comments here. The Arab give government job to their best minds to create jobs for their citizens. On the contrary, we give our government job to the least intelligent people who do not have any idea about job creation. This is why our people are being sold into slavery. You see the result of incompetence. Will we blame the Arabs or ourselves? That's from Judy Wahimo. Evis called earlier. He said, we have to use, oh no, not Evis. Evis said, Mr. Ja, I'm a bit angry at you for your interaction with the female guy yesterday. Nathaniel Brown said, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, Jordan, Kuwait, the list go on. These are the people that do these things. So let's read a few comments here. Henry Gaten, Liberia's last census conducted was in 2010. It had been 12 years since we did one, and we all know population should be done every 10 years. One of the purposes of census is to provide information on their spatial distribution. Because we don't do this often is the reason we are having a bad environment. That was 2008, the last census. So these are a few of the comments here. I was trying to also get Mr. Fremont Gu on there. Our man Jerome Gayman say, Happy Father's Day to you all. May you be blessed. So I'm not able to get, I want to get Freeman on the line, but he said we're not able to get Freeman. So let's conclude. We have 2 minutes to closing time. Let me get your parting comment. Let's start with Mr. George Tulay.
Yeah, it's sad that we're experiencing such things. Like I said, it's not their citizens of nations have taken their people to these countries because they benefit from them. They get fees for supplying the children, the young women, and men too, to work on subhuman conditions so that these nations can be built. And somebody talked about they appointing their best people. No, there's the people, they hire the best minds from outside and put figurehead, Yemeni, not Yemeni, Abu Dhabi, whatever. They bring their young people. They don't know anything, but they become managers. The policies.
Mr. Tulay, just give me 2 minutes. One of the girls in Oman from the office call. So don't call your name because we don't want them to know where you are and know your name. But tell us what's the condition there to the place you are kept. Hello? Hello, are you there?
I think she's there.
Yeah. All right.
Let me
say something to you. The slave trade in Africa, right? There were slaves taken to Arabia. Let me just put it that way, because all these nations are on the Arabian Peninsula. There were slaves taken there. But do you know that in many of these societies, then the slaves were castrated, or subsequent generations of slaves, all the men were castrated because they didn't want the slaves to procreate, to be occupiers of the land along with their people. So as a result, slaves died off in most of these places. They do have black Saudi Arabians, original black Saudi Arabians, but they are all descendants of slaves. But they don't have the same rights as they. So it's, these societies, they are, let me be frank with you, it's because of the great oil wealth and these Western nations, imperious powers, wanting to have places they can play. They have to develop these people, but these people, they are still Asian in their mentality. It's just the reality, because the way they behave, even with the astronomical wealth of their nation, they behave like primitive people. To be honest with you, they haven't embraced modernity. They still.
Mr. Tulay, hold on. Let me see if we can hear the girl now. Hello, say something. Let's see if we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday after all the show, today the man who has the office, he came to me. He called me that someone forwarded a show on to him. I said, but where the proof? He showed me the proof. I said, who should forward the show to him? Then he told me that Freeman forwarded the show to him. Why I'm spoiling the country name? Not only me going through difficulties here. I said, but you demanding for your money, and which of course I don't have, and you put me in here against see also. The only time I can see daylight is I put lights on. I just inside and not eating nothing. So I have to call for help. A Freeman telling you different things and send all my recording to you, no problem. The man said tomorrow they will be taking me to the police station. I and the girl were in the room here. They'll be taking us to police station. They will lock us up. I said, but then you will go proud, because the police will not just see me and lock me up. They have to ask me what's going on. So tomorrow I'll be going there. I think you will not be seeing me online, because I go there, they will seize everything from me.
Sorry. We're so sorry.
Suya, I don't know if you're hearing me, but we're gonna take up your calls.
Yeah.
We're gonna take up your calls. There are organizations in Oman, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, that are there to help migrant women that have been trafficked and are in very, very dire straits. So some of us are going to try and reach out to some of these organizations. The Filipinos have been very good at organizing. So we'll reach out to some of these people, and they have their networks. If they can try and help and reach out to you, you know, it's just that we don't know where you are, but I think we have some general information so we can reach out to some people.
Thank you.
And you know, I got one of my colleagues in my office comes from that place, and tomorrow I'm going to be talking to him.
Thank you, Mr. Tulay, and thank you, lady. I will call you after the show. Jimmy, you're closing.
There, you know, there's a lot of things that going wrong, and it would take time to do it. We as Liberians have to realize if we're not preparing for our next generation, if we're not preparing for the youth that come, then we're not really doing anything. We are just as guilty as anybody in the past. We should no longer use the excuse of since 1847, because 1847 had its own challenges, and we have different challenges today. The challenges we face today, we have to find a way to overcome it. And the only way to overcome it is to have a honest and almost sacrificial approach to it. We need people who are not going for a job for money, but going to help build a nation. We need people who actually care about the grassroots. And the only way we'll ever experience a change is if we are making an investment for the youth tomorrow. Our times are limited, but the youth have a chance. What are we doing to put in place for our youth? And when it comes to this human trafficking, one of the best ways to discourage it is to make Liberia a place where nobody will want to leave to go and work somewhere else. So let's get together. Let's continue the pursuit for grassroots people getting up there, climbing that ladder, not to put anybody and to worship anybody, but to actually have them improve our livelihood. That is what Liberia is supposed to be about today.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, and thank you, Mr. Tulay. Thank all of you for allowing me here on Point. I think you both were on point. I don't know if Anthony will see it that way, but thank you again. I want to thank our viewers for always keeping it real here on FOL, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Until then, we close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." No matter what the situation, let us look within ourselves to do the best we can so that our country becomes the glorious land of liberty. Have a good day.
Amen.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.